How you doing, guys, and welcome to this Eos M special. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because I got a comment a little while ago and it was asking me about what's my process on MLV app and my process for grading. Now, I'm still not a good colorist. I think there's still a long way to go for me. Sometimes I do good coloring, sometimes I really struggle, but that's part of the journey. Even when I first started using cameras, you know, I was getting like really bad footage and it's considerably better now, but still not to a place where I think, you know, it's absolutely amazing, mind-blowing, apart from a couple bits I've done here and there. Anyway, I digress. I thought rather than doing, you know, just a colorist video and showing how I manipulate the footage, I thought I would do like a whole video encompassing the Eos M and why I still use it to this day. Because a lot of people think, you know, because I've got so many cameras or I've had so many cameras and much better cameras, why do I still use the Eos M? And there's a lot of reasons why I want to tell you why I still use it. I want to start back at the beginning when I first picked up an Eos M, you know, watching videos on YouTube and hearing about this Eos M and the way that you could record 14-bit RAW was obviously something that I didn't even know about. I didn't even know anything about 14-bit RAW, but you know, it kind of piqued my interest and I started to learn about it and then got my Eos M and did my first video. And yeah, the videos were kind of shocking, but you know, it really awakened my passion for filmmaking and videography, cinematography as a whole. So the reason why I still use the Eos M is because, not only because it does 14-bit RAW, it's because the camera is so small and it's so cheap that I can do things that I couldn't really do with a £2,000, £3,000 camera. Hell, not even a £1,000 camera. And what I mean by that is when I'm doing my movies and videos and stuff, I like to get a bit creative and do crazy things. So no doubt a lot of you have seen my the car mount which I made a while back, which is just from a window plunger. You know, you just put it onto windows, you can carry glass and stuff like that. I made that. There's a video, I'll put the link in the description that you can go and check that out. I did copy this designer from somebody else on YouTube, so that it's not my own design. I copied this off somebody else. So that's one of my contraptions. Two, we've got another contraption down here, which is a body mount. So you probably saw this if you're on the Eos M group when I posted a picture about it. And that's what I used in those intro clips when the guy was running and you see like his face going all over the place. We wanted a really distressed looking shot. So he was in real turmoil at that time. So we wanted to do something different. So I built this contraption here, which is just a piece of wood. It's got like a little mount, a ball head joint mount screwed to the bottom here. And then we've got a microphone pole and then just a strap. And then you put it around your neck, you tie it all on, pull the pole forward, mount your Eos M on top here, and then when you move, obviously the camera moves. And the reason why this would only work with the Eos M is because of the Eos M size. When you put a small light lens on it, and you know, you've just got the Eos M itself and an internal battery, the camera is so light that you can afford to do those kind of things. It's like when you put it on the car mount as well. Because it's so light, you don't really have much problems with it falling off or you thinking about, is it too heavy for the mount or whatever. You can rig up all kinds of crazy things. So the next one I want to show you is this Sigma wide angle adapter. Now, I know a lot of people hate these. They say, oh, it makes the corners soft, it's rubbish or whatever. But the reason why I have that is because when you're using the Eos M, you are experimenting as a filmmaker. You want to push boundaries and see what you can do. Now, things what people think might be terrible, I will embrace them and see how I can use it. I mean, it only cost me £5. How can I use this? So again, when in that shot where you saw the guy running this all over the place, I achieved that extremely blurry background by using this adapter with a C-mount lens, with a cheap £15 C-mount lens. And the C-mount lens is what I record on all my stuff. The stuff you saw with the motorbike and you know the guy running. All of my stuff now is shot on a £15 C-mount lens, a 35mm, which you can see in this picture here. And I love that lens. And you know, I'm not that guy that gets too bogged down. I'm not that guy. Just give me the camera, let me see what tools I can get and what I can use to enhance my filmmaking and try to make it a bit more interesting. So again, that's another reason why I use the Eos M, because you can do things with it. If it smashes up, you haven't really got to worry about it too much. Just, you know, I mean, it's money is money, of course, but it's not gonna cost that much to replace if anything was to go crazy wrong. So looking at my Eos M settings, you can see I still stick to 1080p and I'm a 1080p fan. down. I know that you can go to 2.5K, 4K, 5K, whatever, and I know a lot of people like to use those, but I still stick to 1080p. I have my methods of using them to eliminate aliasing and moire, which I've gone over in videos before, but I still stick to 1080p. I think it's reliable, the picture looks good, I can manipulate it enough in post, and I can sharpen it if I want to, so that's why I stick to it. Nothing really much has changed in my settings when I install Magic Lantern, not much at all. SD card. So Sandisk Extreme Pro is the one that I use, and I will always use Sandisk Extreme Pro. If something ain't broken, why try to fix it? I know you can use other cards, you can experiment, but for me, Sandisk Extreme Pro all the way. I'm not even mucking about with anything else. Okay guys, so we're gonna look at my ML process now and how I convert stuff. Sometimes I use CDNG, but most of the time I will use some sort of ProRes 444 in ARRI log C. So that's kind of my way because it's easier than to match with other cameras. So let's jump into MLV app and have a look at that now. Okay guys, so here we are. I've got a clip here in MLV app, and this is a 14-bit RAW clip in 1080p. And I'm going to show you the very basic changes which I make here. So my first change would be fix bad pixels. That I would go to force, and the search method would be aggressive. Interpolation method is number 3. So that's what I would use. On Chroma Smooth, I would choose 3x3. I know some people choose 5x5, but I find 3x3 that works very well for me. So the key for me here is not to make my export any longer than what it could be. I want my exports to be quite fast. Vertical stripes. Even if I can't see any vertical stripes here, I'm still going to click force, because there's nothing worse than when you render the clip, you can't see them on certain parts, and then when you put it into grading and then you start and then you bring your shadows down and you see, oh no, you've got vertical lines or you know, focus dots or whatever. So click vertical stripes, force, and then that's it. You're good to go there. Pattern noise, I don't really need to use that, none of that, but obviously if you do need to use it, make sure you click all those. If you've got any problems with your highlights clipping or whatever, make sure you do all of that processing in MLV app, because you're doing it at the first stage, the raw level, and that will give you the most beneficial results. It'll be most effective here. See your highlight reconstruction. And then profiles, I will choose Alexa Log C pretty much all the time. And as you can see, it's quite flat. And then the camera matrix, I would choose don't use camera matrix. So it's stripped off any Canon business what's going on here. And then obviously if you need to do any chromatic aberration fixing or anything like that, you've got all that down here, but usually I'm okay. So once I've done all that, I will then go into my export settings, and then I will usually use Apple ProRes 4444, but you can choose 442HQ or 422. Because those are really good as well. If you've got loads and loads of clips and you want to get them rendered fast, then I would say use Cinema DNG uncompressed, because it's so much faster. Don't bother choosing any profiles like Alexa Log C or doing any grading or whatever in the MLV app, because it won't stick. If you're using Cinema DNG, it will just take it as what the camera recorded and export it as a DNG file. Once you go into Resolve, you have the option of using the RAW tab settings, because this will activate the RAW tab settings. So you can make certain changes there as well, which is absolutely fantastic. But for me, it's usually Apple ProRes 4444. Then if the clip is in 1920 by 1080, I would come over to resize and then change it to 3840 by 2160. And then I would go to my export from here. And then that is it. I'm done. Not too much changes at all. All right, guys, so we've done MLV app now. So then we're going to look at my process in DaVinci Resolve, and I'm going to show you a really quick grade. It's going to be so quick, probably 3 or 4 nodes, maybe, if that, with minor tweaks and adjustments, because I find that it's easy to make the Eos M look reasonably well. So let's jump into Resolve now and have a look at that. Okay, so now we're in DaVinci Resolve, and I've got a 1080p clip here as well, which has been upscaled to 4K, and it is the same Apple ProRes 4444. And we're just going to go into the color tab. So I like to try and do this in about, I don't know, I would say I like to try and do this in about 3 nodes or so. But let's see what happens, because sometimes I change things as we go along. So let me just add a couple of nodes here. I'll add 5 just to start, but let's see what happens. So first of all, I would like to do a color space transform. So let me drop that in. And then from here, I'm going to choose input color space, and I'm going to choose Blackmagic Design Pocket 4K Film Gen 4. And then the input gamma is the same, Blackmagic Design Pocket 4K Film Gen 4. And then that's what I've got. That's what it's converted it to. So that's what I like. So then in number 2, we're going to start making changes to bring this back up a little bit. So first of all, I need to lift that a little bit. The blacks are a bit too crushed for my liking. I like deep blacks, but not too deep. And then let's just raise the gamma just a little bit. And then the gain just a little bit as well. And then I think I'll bring the shadows down just a little bit more. Then on the 3rd node, I would have something like temp. So I'll just add a little bit of temp in here. And then a bit of saturation. That should do there. I'm going to go back to the 2nd node where I've done my lift gamma gain. And I'm going to change my lift. And I'm going to put a bit of green in those shadows. Just to give it that bit of a grungy, you know, kind of grungy look. Because he's supposed to be like some sort of hacker here. So we want some sort of, you know, Matrix type look here, you know. So yeah, I like that. So then I would probably add a glow onto here. Now, when I add the glow, I might need to change my blacks again. But let's see what happens. So I'll put the glow on number 4. And then I'm going to go to composite type down the bottom and choose soft light. So you can see my blacks have been crushed now. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the top of the glow and bring the shine threshold right up to the top. Yeah, that looks really nice. But my blacks are still a bit too crushed for my liking and my greens disappeared. So I'm going to go back to my node number 2. I'm going to lift up those blacks just a little bit. Go down to the shadows here down the bottom, bring those up a bit. And then I'm going to put a bit more green back in those shadows to give it that matrixy kind of look. So if we look at my skin tone line here on the vector scope, you can see that the skin tone looks quite nice. I mean, it's still got this greenish tinge to it. But we're not going for realism here. We're going for like, you know, what we want to see in like a movie. So yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, that's nice. It's nice. And I think with this one, I'm going to add a bit of sharpening on number 5. So let's go to sharpen, bring that down to about 47. Come over to your wheels here. And we're going to bring the mid-tone up just a little bit as well, maybe to about 9. Let's see, how does that look? Yeah. So now I'm concentrating on like his fingers, which are the main parts in focus. I think the glow is a little bit too strong. So let me go back to the glow and turn that down a little bit. Yeah. That's cool. And then finally, I would probably add something like a just a vignette on here now. So yeah, I've got 6 nodes. This will probably be my final. So let me put a vignette in and then just increase that size and then the softness there, just to bring those shadows around here. So if I turn that vignette off, it's not made much of a difference, but you can see where it kind of darkens out the edges. Obviously, that's what a vignette does. But yeah, so that's it really. Probably something just like that, something quite simple. Okay guys, so that's it. That's the end of the video. I hope that you got something from this video, and I hope that it kind of gives you a bit of inspiration to go out there and shoot and do things, and, you know, just kind of push boundaries, you know, push boundaries of your M and see what you can create, something crazy. You know, it's a fantastic camera. Yes, it has its quirks, but all cameras have their quirks. Yes, the workflow might be a bit long, but it doesn't matter. If you can either go out and spend, you know, £1,000 plus and get yourself a camera with an easy workflow, or go and spend 80 quid and then just the world's your oyster. So that's the way I look at it. You know, if you got a lot of files to do, just go and put them on, let them render, go and make a cup of tea, go to bed, wake up in the morning, and then you've got all your files there and you can carry on editing. So don't really worry about the workflow too much. Every camera has a workflow. Yes, this is a little bit longer, but that's the price we pay, and I'm willing to pay that price. So guys, thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you on the next one later.